One of the most common problem that clients comes to us and ask is about email deliverability. And there's a bunch of ways, tactics and technique how to clean up your list, how to do things manually, what you have to do on a regular basis. A bunch of those tactics we have on our YouTube channels in the video format. But today I would like to talk about Orita and to one of the co-founder DB. I know you people call you DB, not Daniel, correct?
Yes, that's
That's your
correct.
preference.
Yes.
DB, so could you please briefly talk to our audience and explain what is Orita all about and what
Yeah,
kind of projects do you have?
sure. Hi, everybody. I'm DB. A little bit about my background. I'm a machine learning engineer, so that's kind of what we do. We do a lot of machine learning, artificial intelligence at Arita. We have a very specific goal. Our goal is to supercharge your email program. We also do direct mail and SMS is coming, but for right now we'll talk about email to get the most performance out of your list, and that can really help in deliverability and increasing campaign revenue by basically using all the data that's available in order to figure out who is most likely to respond to your content. And what happens with a lot of brands is that as they grow, even if they use good recency segmentation rules like, oh, everyone who's clicked or visited a website or purchased in the last 90 days, as you grow, that still is not necessarily good enough. You're going to miss a lot of people that are outside of that window, and you're keeping too many people that are inside. And so what happens is that the inbox providers start downranking your content.
Hmm.
And so there's a lot of strategies to get at it, but I think it's really important to understand that actually the vast majority of emails sent in the world are spam. Around 80% of all emails sent are spam. And so as a bulk sender, you basically have to prove every time you send that you're not spam because it's more likely that emails being sent are spam than not. And so there's
Yes.
really this, everyone is under a very close microscope in
Hmm.
order to figure out if the message that you send are spam. Yeah, and the last thing I'll say is that there's two major things to do. One is like an infrastructure play. Make sure you have authentication, DMARC. You probably
Yeah.
heard of these sorts of terms. And
Yes.
the other one is that when you send your content to people, are they clicking it? Are they responding to it? Are they not unsubscribing, not marking you as spam? It's that sort of activity and engagement that really can prioritize your content over others.
So how does Orita help customer like
What we
bulk
do,
senders?
yeah, what we do. So if we take a step back, most engagement segments are highly weighted on recency, as I mentioned, and
Hmm.
they're kind of a reaction to recency. Oh, I clicked 90 days ago, therefore I'm likely to click again. What we do instead is we take a look at the entire history of not just email, but all customer engagement. So we'll look at returns and CRM tickets and orders and all this kind of stuff. And then we make a machine learning model that predicts whether or not someone is going to click on an email. And so that predictive capability allows us to rank all of the customers in your list. And then what we do is we go, hey, this is actually the top percentile of who the people that you should email. These people are not worth emailing right now. And when you do that from a machine learning perspective, where you can look at lots and lots of data, what happens is that your click rates will go up, your campaign revenue will go higher, and all you're doing is just basically changing the mix of people that are emailing. So what we tell a lot of our brands is like, instead of using your highly engaged segment, which you can define by 30, 60, 90, 180 days, whatever it is, just use Arita's highly engaged segment instead for your main campaigns, and then
Hmm.
you'll see improved performance.
Okay. So hypothetically speaking, just giving an example, let's say for one of our brands, we use 90 days engaged segment. So somebody who
Yeah.
opened or clicked in the last 90 days. But
Yeah.
let's say that that person, for some reason, stop opening the emails and clicking the emails. And let's say 2 years pass by and
Yeah.
the brand have a physical store here in New York where we based and they went to the store and maybe they purchased something through POS system
Correct.
and Orita will recognize this as a high intent like
Correct.
potential candidate to send them email, correct? And
Correct.
I mean this is very simplistic thing. I know
Yeah.
it's more
No, it's
sophisticated, but
no, I think it is. I think the way to think about it is that there's like the example that I like to use, and this is not how the ML works under the hood, but just like
mm,
imagine that 90 days since their last click is right, but every time someone clicks or purchases, give them an extra 10 days before you give them up. So if they purchased one,
mm,
make it 100 days. If they purchase twice, give them 110 days, or they click, give 120 days.
yeah.
Like that's something that is actually very easy to do with machine learning, but actually like impossible to do with the segmentation rules that you're allowed to build in Klaviyo. And so what
Mm,
happens is that there are people who have longer, slower behavior, right?
mm,
They might buy from you like clockwork every 2 years, right? But
Hmm.
like that means that you're going to have a recency segment that looks over a 2 year period. It's like it's very rare that that brands have that sort of logic. But with ML, you can pick up those sorts of regular cadence of behaviors that occur outside of like a narrow 90-day window.
Okay. So, like right now, what popping to my head, there's two groups of customer that I'm thinking it might be helpful first. So first, the cost like brands who emailing people on almost on daily basis or
Yeah,
sometimes even twice a day. And
totally.
it doesn't mean that people are buying twice a day. It's just they are kind of bombarding almost, I would call it maybe even like spamming, and they
Yeah,
always use this in like 90 day engage. And another customers and they have probably lower AOV, but another brands like furniture brands, like you don't buy the like I don't know, dresser or bed frame every
yes,
90 days, you buy maybe every 5 years.
yeah,
So how does Orita work in those two scenarios? Like
yeah.
how does it recognize a customer, or does it check the AOV or client's
Yeah,
behavior, or like?
it totally does. And so to be clear, the models are all fine-tuned on the brand's individual data. So one of the most important things for us to work with a brand is that they have a long history of email, at least 1 year, preferably two.
Hmm.
And the reason why we want that sort of history is to kind of start to see that sort of longer term behavior. We have a lot of customers that sell high consideration products or products that you consume on a longer time scale, like jewelry brands and furniture brands. And what happens with those sorts of companies, there's a lot of preparatory activity, and there's lots of periods where like people don't respond, and then
Hmm.
they'll come back and they'll buy. And
Yeah.
so what you need to do is you need to look at a really long time period to be like, hey, someone is in market for a mattress, right? And they might not actually make the decision to buy a mattress until 9 months or a year later.
Yeah.
But like by taking a look at that, you can kind of do that. And what you do is once again, you just like look at features across both recency as well as integrated features. Look at AOV, lifetime value, all those sorts of things can feed in there. And then for the brands that send very frequently, what we're able to do is kind of really prioritize which mix does it makes
Hmm.
sense to do that. And so what happens when you do something like 90 days, especially with opens, and so opens is a tricky metric because there's a lot
Yeah.
of false positives and a lot of
Yeah.
false negatives,
Hmm.
right? Which means
Hmm.
that like it can be triggered by a server. It could be like it doesn't really measure as intent as strongly as people think it does. And so what we're able to do is like be like, if you want to send to those that 90-day window, what we'll do is like also send it to say like Arita's highly engaged as well. And then we have another segment that's like Arita not engaged. And so that might
Yeah.
pull some of those people from that 90-day engagement that have like really, really low signal. Like maybe they've only opened one email in the last 9 days.
Hmm.
And like that's really not a strong enough signal that you should keep emailing them
Yeah.
versus someone who clicked 91 days ago is someone that you should still keep included in your list.
Yeah. And especially engagement piece, it's Clive make it very easy to build the segment. But as you just mentioned, if a person opens one email in 90 days, how serious are they about your brand? Maybe they opened accidentally, or maybe it's Apple Mail a proxy that like opens all the emails. So, and
Totally.
since there's many brands who has a lot of tech stack connected
Yeah.
to their Shopify or e-commerce platforms, it's humanly impossible to check all data points and say, oh, that guy, he did X, Y, and Z. That's it shows high intent, and let's email him or her. Like I do see huge value in your tool, and thank you for building this tool because it
Yeah.
helps us to a lot of our brands who use it. Do you have anything to show, like how the
Sure.
metrics or how does it work, or like anything
Absolutely.
behind
Let
the
me
scene?
just, yeah, I'm going to pull up some images from what I can show as an example of one of before and after of one of the brands
Sure.
that started using us. This, I think, is a really good example of what it means when you can segment better. So for this brand, what we're looking at here is daily campaign revenue. And what's important to note is that for this brand, the before period is actually Q4 when the brand
Hmm.
makes the most money. And you
Yeah.
can see when Black Friday is. That's this big
Yeah.
spike right up here.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so what happened is that when they started working with us, we basically took over some of their engagement segments. And they actually said it ended up emailing 40% less people starting from
Mm.
this red line. But that
Wow.
40% of the people that are fewer is a different composition. So we took people that they weren't emailing but had longer term signal and still were like highly engaged, but just like not didn't do anything recently. We put them in their list and then dropped a bunch of people who like maybe had that one open that could have even been triggered by a server, and we pulled them out. As a result of it, what happened were two things. One is that they are emailing to a group of people that are literally worth more. Like there's higher signal in that group of people, and if you keep doing that systematically, the click rate is much, much higher than what they were doing before. And so what happened was that Gmail and Yahoo and all the inbox providers started ranking their content more positively. And so what that
Nice.
means practically for the brand is that you can see that like very consistently campaign revenue every day started climbing higher and higher and higher. And now that they're at this point where like their click rate is really great, now we can start opening back up their list. And so, we can basically add people in order because the algorithms rank every single person every single day by order of propensity to click or to visit the website or to buy. Then you can start
Hmm.
adding them in order, and now they can start emailing more people and make even more money.
This is impressive. And it reminds me, so I'm purchased a few products in West Elm, like some work
Mm,
desk and some lamps. And I mean, I like their store, I like their products, the furniture they have, but I unsubscribed from their emails because they were not relevant and I did not plan
yeah.
to buy anything. And like fast forward to today, it's almost past 2 years. I was checking their website, and of course now they cannot email me because I unsubscribed. Because for a long time I showed that like low intent, and they were very aggressive. They were sending me emails like every maybe 2 to 3 days, which is for furniture brand, I believe it's aggressive. Like for
Yeah,
fashion and
it definitely.
apparel, it's like one
Sure.
thing, but like
Yeah.
furniture brand, it's like how many desks do I need? So if, for example, if they have a Orita, I see like maybe I will be manually suppressed, or I forgot the term. I will be kind of suppressed, or like I will
Correct.
not receive the amount of emails. But when I show that intent that I'm browsing the website again, maybe adding something to the website, spending some time on the website, I will start receiving emails again.
Yeah, I think so. The way that we think about it is like basically every customer probably at some point should have a do not disturb sign for some period of time.
Yeah.
And there's like really three reasons why to bring someone back. One is like in your example that you just said with West Elm, it's like you literally show signal. It's been 5 years, but you're started visiting the website. And so what we oftentimes see is a lot of brands clean their lists and they never actually look at the clean lists ever again. In our service, and one of the beauty of Klaviyo is that it still collects data from all those cleaned users, and so we will literally bring back people as soon as they start showing activity.
Yeah.
And in our terminology, we call that rescued revenue because it's rescued from your clean list, and
Hmm.
that has actually made like hundreds of thousands of dollars for some of our brands just that by that process alone. But we also bring back people if there's predicted activity. Once again, the idea of like someone buying every 2 years, right?
Hmm.
In that case, even though it's not yet might hit the 2 year mark because we're able to look at this longer term behavior, cyclical behavior, we can be like, hey, it's been 1 year and 9 months. Now you should start emailing them again.
Hmm.
And then the final piece of it too is because we can use these APIs to like manually suppress or unsuppress someone, or we can like tag people in different ways. We also just test, which
Hmm.
means that like, maybe you haven't shown signal, but it just kind of makes sense just to like turn you on for a little bit of time, maybe a week or two to see if you're responsive. Nope, not responding with emails, then put you in do not disturb again. And that allows you to kind of like very efficiently sample if someone is in market without being so aggressive that you're like, oh, they're going to receive 900 emails from me in the next 6 months. It's like, no, send them like 10 and then let's pause. And then
Hmm.
let's try that again 6 months later. And then then that way you can probe. And then once they finally start interacting with those emails, then you can be like, cool, keep them on until they convert.
Nice. How does your direct mail, because I don't know
Hmm.
much about direct mail feature product you have. How does direct mail work? I know it's
Yeah,
cost more to send
yeah,
uh,
it is.
direct
And
mail.
and so direct mail, ironically, direct mail is where my co-founder Zach and I first started. But we launched our first product in email just because there's so much more data. Everyone uses Klaviyo. Similar to how we ride the rails of Klaviyo for email, we ride the rails of Postpilot for direct mail.
Hmm.
And our goal is, and so the tricky thing about direct mail is really expensive. And even if you construct your tests very well, like say you have holdout groups and stuff like that, and you're
Yeah.
trying to measure incrementality, you might be able to send one or two times and make some money, but you don't necessarily learn which parts of your customer base it makes sense to keep sending over and over again. So you'll be like, oh,
Yeah.
hey, I did this holdout group. I realize it's 6x, right? And then the next time you send it, you're like, that's 3x. The next time you send it, it's 2x. And it's because you're not understanding which part of the customer lifecycle makes sense. So we have this process where it's where basically what we do is we have this testing phase where
Mhm.
we agree upon a number of postcards to send, and we send to samples, a stratified sample of your customer base, with the idea of being like, you're not, the goal is not to make money on the first send. The goal is to
Mhm.
learn. And
Mhm.
then what happens is that certain segments of your list are profitable to send to, and we basically keep doubling down. And so you can think about it as like an iterative or an evolutionary algorithm, which is like searching for those profitable segments. And so maybe, and this is like a rough example, is like maybe the most profitable segments, one of the most profitable segments to send to is people who bought from you twice, but haven't bought from you in 9 months. And so
Okay.
then what happens is like there's always people that are moving into that bucket. And
Yeah.
so those get automatically triggered with a postcard. And so what happens is that direct mail becomes a repeatable, incrementally profitable channel because you
Mhm.
know exactly what part of the life cycle when people enter it to trigger, and you're not just like blasting everybody.
Okay. I see. Interesting. Yeah, I mean, our goal is to move to the direct mail route as well, like to start offering that kind of services in the future. So we will probably learn more. DB,
Yeah.
is there anything else that we missed, like talking today, that people should know about Orita? Oh, you offering the free audits. This is a big thing. This is a huge, and
Yes.
like all our like we kind of exploit you for all of our customers, like to do the free
Yeah.
audits.
Yeah. So the way that the process works is that you could go to our website, Orita.ai, and click on like get started. And we're a Klaviyo OAuth partner, we're one of their elite tech partners. And so it's really simple to get started. It's like a 2 minute like, hey, yes, they can start processing our data. And what we'll do is we'll collect all of the information and then build and train a model based on all of your customer engagement data. Once we build that model, and that process can take anywhere from hours to a couple days. It really depends on how much data that you have. That's the limiting factor. We do what's called an audit, where the audit says like, hey, of your list size here, this is how many people that you've list cleaned that we think we should bring back. This is where your click rate is. This is where we think we can get it. And so you get a good sense of whether or not we can help you. It's for any brand to understand, can we deliver value? And candidly, it's also useful for us. We turn away around 10 to 20% of brands that are interested in working with us, oftentimes because they're too small or don't have enough history. So it's like
Hmm.
machine learning can't really help you at this time.
Yeah.
And candidly, rare cases that brands are just like doing things that are really great and just like, you don't need us right now. Like you're
Yeah.
doing everything perfectly. Like keep doing what you're doing. Maybe it'll make
Hmm.
sense like further down the line. But it gives people a sense of like what they can expect from working with us. What are the
Hmm.
expected performance of these segments before you get started?
Okay. Perfect.
Yeah.
Thank you for sharing. Thank you for your time, DB. And like, if you want to test it yourself, go to Orita dot, is it AI?
Yeah. Arita.ai.
That AI to get your free audit and see how much Orita can help you, or maybe not. Maybe you do everything right.
Yeah.
But at Flowium, we all our brands we like send to Orita to do the audit, so we understand like what is the potential of that brand. So thank you, DB.
Thanks so much for having me. Really appreciate it.
Want to discover how much money your email marketing can actually bring you? If that's the case, let our team of email marketing experts show you how. With our free email marketing audit, we'll conduct a comprehensive analysis of your email marketing efforts, provide you with an action plan, and show you how to effectively segment and convert your audience. Simply go to flowium.com/audit and book your audit today.
Hey, if you're watching this and you like what you see, please hit subscribe and hit the bell because it helps us grow our channel.